The program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's finally poked through the clouds. There's a bit of blue sky. The impalas are happy, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Sunset Safari. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig. And how exciting is it to be outside with blue sky? I most certainly haven't seen that over the last couple of days. Now, we've got 3 schools joining us today. We've got Grady Brown Elementary, we've got Windsor Oaks, and as well as College Park for the next 45 minutes. So I hope that you're excited and ready to ask lots and lots of questions. Now, it's a little bit quiet out here today, but just around the corner, and we're going to move to them, I saw some antelope moving through the long grass, which will be quite exciting. They're one of my favorite antelope out here in the bush. Now, where did they go? And this is the problem with antelope, is that they're, well, supposed to hide very well so that they don't get eaten too easily. But they went this way. There they are, I've spotted them. You can't hide from Craig and I. Hello, guys. Now, some of you may have seen these antelope before. We're very lucky. We see them almost every single day on every single safari. And they're very important out here. The impala, that's what they are called. And these just look like females. Now, I'm wondering where the rest of the herd is, because normally, and especially at this time of the year, they live in rather large groups. And there'll be one male, and the male has got big horns attached to his head, whereas the girls, as you can see, they don't have any horns. Now, if you're wondering what the difference is between antlers and horns and what makes a deer and an antelope an antelope, well, there's a couple of differences, but the main one and the easiest one is the fact that antelope have horns, and they only get one set for their entire life, whereas, well, I thought I heard something for a moment there, but I think it's just the hornbills that are talking. We'll try and find those birds for you. Let's actually go around the corner. But the deer have got antlers, and they get them sort of seasonally, which is quite cool, and they shed them every now and then. Now, Harley, hello to you. I'm so happy to have a question from you today. You're wondering, what do the antelope eat? We might actually see what they're eating. Let's see if they're going to put their heads down and start feeding. They look very, very nervous. If you look very carefully, they're sort of watching where they put their feet. I wonder what they're worried about. But what they do like to eat, and the impala in particular, is they eat grass, they eat leaves, sometimes they'll nibble on fruit, but we call impala mixed feeders. And it is one of the main reasons why they are so successful, why they do so well out here on the reserve where there's many, many predators that can eat them, is because they're able to stay fit and strong even through the very, very tough times in winter when we don't get any rain and there's no grass and no leaves on the tree. It's very dry, it's very harsh, and only the fittest and the strongest animals can survive. And normally the impala are the ones that we see that don't look as badly affected by the drought. There are other animals, or even just winter, it doesn't necessarily have to be a drought, but animals like buffalo, warthogs, hippopotamus, even the elephants to an extent, you can actually see how ill they become, how thin they become. And it's very, very sad, but the impala are super strong and are able to, well, like I said, eat a little bit of everything. Now, Samantha, you're wondering why they look like reindeer. Well, Samantha, I have absolutely no idea what reindeer looks like, except for all of the movies that have showed reindeers, because I've never seen one in real life myself. So I don't know. I think that the impala are much smaller than the reindeers. They're not the biggest antelope out here, but they're also not the smallest one. They're sort of somewhere in between. medium-sized, I suppose you could say. So I'm not sure why they would look like reindeers, but these ones definitely don't look like Rudolph because they don't have a big bright red nose, do they? They're sort of reddish in color though, but that's all that's really red about them. Let's see if we can have another look. Now look how long the grass is at the moment. Can you believe that these animals disappear in the grass so easily? Look at that, hiding behind the silver cluster leaf trees. You can just see their big ears sticking up above the long grass, and that's very important because they might not be able to see any predators coming, but with those big ears they'll most certainly be able to hear them. But impala have also got very good eyesight. They're very lucky out here because they've got good senses. All of their senses are great. Their hearing is fantastic, their eyesight is some of the best, and their little noses are able to pick up all types of scents. But how cool is that? Let's keep trying to get views of them. Now, Sonia, you're wondering what a baby antelope looks like. Now, I'm going to try and find one for you, and you won't believe it, but one of them, out of the three that we were looking at, is actually a youngster. It was actually born at the beginning of the year, but they grow so quickly because out here you can't stay little for too long, otherwise you'll find yourself in a bit of trouble. Let me see if I can get another view of them. They've hidden themselves away, but basically the baby antelope just look like their mothers. Almost identical replicas, but small ones. And I think that's our impala. You can see there, look, they've gone behind all of these trees. You actually can't see anything at the moment, which is a little bit difficult for us, of course, but we'll try and move around and see if we perhaps can't find anything else that's around here. It's a bit quiet today. We have had some really big rain showers for the last 2 days, so maybe the animals have all just moved out and they were seeking shelter, but hopefully now that the clouds are moving away, the blue skies are coming out, we're going to see more and more of them. But it's not just me taking you on this live safari today. I'm going to send you across now to my dear friend Jamie, who would love to say hello.
I would love to say hello. So hello to all of you and welcome on our sunset safari. My name is Jamie and this afternoon Senzo is on camera with me, and a very special warm welcome to all of the kids joining us on this very special school drive. I hope you're all excited. I've got something exciting to show you. I hear you've been talking about antelope with Taylor, and she's told you probably that it's been raining over the last few days. The animal that I'm looking for really likes the rain. In fact, it really truly enjoys it. And one of the nice things that happens when it rains on soil is, of course, you get a whole load of mud. And the reason that I'm telling you all of this is going to become apparent to you in a moment. Here we go. So, over there in front of me is a tree. And it is a tree that is growing at a rather odd angle. But look closely at the bark of the tree, because there's something very special about it, and I'm going to get out to show you exactly what that is. So have a look here, and see if you can see what I've spotted. Look all the way along it. From here, right up to the top over there. Now this tree is covered in mud. I wonder if you can work out why it is that a tree would be covered with mud all the way up higher than I can reach. Well, I'm going to give you the answer to that, but just imagine you're an elephant. Now imagine you're an elephant that's had a little bit of a bath in the mud. An elephant loves to bath in the mud because first of all it cools them down, and second of all it coats their skin so they get all of that, picks up all of the little exoparasites and ticks that might be on their skin. And then what do you do after you've had a mud bath? Well, probably your skin's going to start getting itchy. And this tree makes for the perfect place because it's got nice rough bark. So somewhere along the line an elephant has come here, covered in mud, and has rubbed itself up and down against this tree. And this has happened for years and years and years, which is why the bark is so smooth over here. That's just from elephants scratching themselves up against this tree. But now, think about how tall an elephant would have to be. This was probably an elephant scratching behind its ear, or perhaps along its back, or maybe even if it was a big elephant, right on top of its shoulder. So you can see how big I am. But I think that sometimes when we show you these creatures, it's really hard to get a sense of scale. But that is, I can't even jump high enough to actually touch how high that is, which means if I was standing next to this elephant while it was scratching, assuming it didn't notice me, which is unlikely, but if I were standing next to this elephant, my head would probably only come up to about just lower than its shoulder. This elephant that's scratched along here. So how cool is that? Elephants, they don't have thumbs, they don't really have fingernails, they do kind of have toenails, but it's not like if they've got an itchy ear they can reach up and scratch behind their ear like we can, or pick off a tick like we could. They have to make use of the environment around them, and one of the ways that they do that is by, my earpiece has gone walkabouts, is by scratching themselves up against a tree. It's not just elephants that do that, but only an elephant would have managed to go that high up a tree. There you go, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll bump into an elephant on our live safari. Yesterday we had lots and lots. That mud is dry, which means that it's not fresh. It means that the elephant that went and had itself a scratch there wasn't there up until recently. Oh, sorry, hold on, Alice, if you are talking to me, I'm not going to hear you. Oh. No. There we go. Got you back. Now I should be able to hear you if you were sending through any questions. Now, we've spoken about how elephants love to go for swims and mud baths, but Benjamin, you want to know how much water can an elephant drink? Lots and lots, liters and liters and liters of water, because an elephant is a very big animal. Obviously, the smaller elephants will drink less water, but a big elephant bull that can be up to 5 tons could probably quite easily drink 30, 40 liters of water if it was feeling really thirsty. And in which they eat, because they eat stuff that's actually hard to break down, they need to drink a lot of water to help their digestive system to absorb it and to take all of those nutrients in. So, without any further ado, let's carry on and go off in search of an elephant to show you. Maybe there'll be some at the mud wallows over here. Wait! I found you something else. Wait. It's not an elephant. It is much, much smaller than an elephant. Just hold on 1 second, because I think they're going to come out again from the top. Hello? Can you spot it? Can you see it? So this is an animal that is pretty much the exact opposite of an elephant. The exact opposite. It is a little dwarf mongoose, and it is our smallest carnivore, that mammal carnivore, that we get out here. And isn't that utterly adorable? Only a couple of 100 grams, around about 300 grams to be precise. And there we go. We've been talking about elephants, but we've seen something different, and Gavin would like to know, well, how many animals do we see in one day? It's hard to say, Gavin. Sometimes it's so different, but the important thing to remember is that it's not always about the big animals. Seeing an elephant or a leopard or a lion is awesome, but we really like to see little things as well. And remember, animals can include insects, it can include birds, not just the mammal species. So I would say that we could easily in one day see 100 animals. Easily. 100 different types of animals. Between insects and snails and mollusks and sometimes crabs, birds, impala, elephants. We see frogs, snakes, scorpions. Now, speaking of snakes and scorpions and insects, that's exactly what this little animal likes to eat. The dwarf mongoose are mainly insect eaters, but they can even raid birds' nests and eat the eggs from a bird, and they live together in family groups, which is why there's more than one here. But this little one has gone all the way up to the top of a termite mound so that it can look out for any dangerous threats to them. Obviously, dwarf mongoose live in termite mounds. Shay, good question. You want to know why so many animals use termite mounds? Termite mounds are really, really important out here. Not just for the termites, because that's of course where they live, but for dwarf mongoose, for hyena, for wild dog, for aardvark and porcupine. And one of the big reasons is, first of all, they tend to stay a little bit drier because they're upwards facing and sloped, so the rain washes off them and there's nice dry cavities inside. It's a good place to hide if you want to be safe from other animals, because they're also very, very hard, so it's hard to get into them unless you go through a tunnel that's already been dug. Plus, it's also full of tunnels, which for something like a dwarf mongoose is perfect, because it's like a giant network of different places that they can run around in. I actually think it must be amazing to run around in a dwarf mongoose termite mound. Very, very important, and that's a good question. A good place to shelter, and a good place to keep your babies. Now, Lacey, you want to know how strong is a termite mound? Well, we're looking at quite a big one. Now, Lacey, that little dwarf mongoose only weighs about even though, because I'm not exactly the heaviest person in the world, let's say if somebody twice my size went and stood on the top of that termite mound, they would also be fine. Termite mounds are very strong, and it takes very specialized animals to actually be able to dig inside them. Something like an aardvark with big, strong claws, that's the type of anteater. Big, strong claws, or a honey badger, those are the sorts of creatures that are actually able to dig into a termite mound. These little dwarf mongoose, basically, they can excavate a little bit, but they wouldn't be able to get right inside a termite mound if there weren't holes for them to get into. I think this dwarf mongoose is having a great time. I think it's sunbathing. Speaking of termite mounds on which the dwarf mongoose is sitting, Kylie, you want to know, well, why do termite mounds have to be so big when termites are so small? Very good question. Well, the reason is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of termites that live inside a termite colony. And also remember that what you're looking at is just one part of the termite's home. And in fact, it's the smallest part, the bit that sticks out above the ground. The rest of it is all underneath the surface of the soil. So there's lots of space underneath there, and that's where the termites live. And they need lots of space because there's lots of termites. There's lots of termites that do different things. Some of them help to farm fungus. And what they do is create a way that the air flows through the termite mound. So, speaking of a termite colony with thousands and thousands of legs in between it, I think Taylor's managed to find something with almost as many legs.
That's exactly it, Jamie. We basically have found a millipede, which means thousands of legs. However, I don't think a millipede quite has 1,000 legs to it. I'm sure there's a few hundred, but this is quite a big one, and this fella is on the move. Look how quickly it goes. All those legs moving one after each other, crawling across the ground. Now, they don't have any eyes like a lot of other insects do, so they use those antennae. Can you see them right on top? They use those as sense organs to help them in which direction they need to go. But I'm going to go and pick it up. I'm going to bring it to the car, I think, just because it's crawling away from us. And I also want to show you how big the millipede is. It's quite large. Let me go and fetch it. Hello, millipede. Don't be scared of me. Now, when they do get scared, I'm going to try and pick it up as gently as I can. They will curl themselves up in a very, very tight ball. So I did a very good job at not startling this millipede. Now, before I tell you any more, I must plug my earpiece in so I can hear Alice. Alice is the director today. Whoo, long cable. Let's try put that in without dropping the millipede. There we go. Now I can hear any questions that you ask me. So these guys have been around for a very, very, very long time. They are not new to the earth. And this is a relatively big one. You can see just by the size of my hand. My hands aren't too big though. I think I've got relatively small hands, and it is quite relaxed with me. Now, like I said, if it was frightened, I don't know what it thinks is picking it up though, because it can't see us. But if it gets frightened, it'll curl itself up in a very, very, very tight ball. And also, this exoskeleton is quite hard too, and it doesn't taste very nice. So when it does get scared, not only does it curl itself up into a little ball, it secretes, so it leaks a very, very terrible tasting and smelling substance. It comes out of the bottom end of the millipede from the back end over here, and it's almost orange in color, and it's cyanide. It's just a little bit of cyanide. Oh no! No, millipede! Why did you do that to me? It did a very nasty thing on my hand. I'm going to show you the color of it now. Look there, close to my little finger. That is the very ugly substance that I was telling you about. So if I were to go, it wouldn't be very nice, but I won't. So I'll just wipe it on my blanket that I sit on. But it's actually quite relaxed, and it's very beautiful, and you get many different types out here. This is quite a big one. Like I said, I think it can get a little bit longer still. Look at that now when it stretches out. How cool is that? And it's the most amazing feeling on your arms. Now, you're wondering how strong is this millipede? I'm not actually sure. I've never seen them do any weights or anything before, so I couldn't tell you how much they could lift. But they definitely are quite strong. Remember, they've got this hard exoskeleton, which helps protect them. But if I were to stand on it or to drive over it, unfortunately you would squash it. If an elephant were to stand on it, and we actually see lots of squashed millipedes, they will also crush it. And there's lots of different things that like to eat them out here. Some of them are specialists at getting through this hard exoskeleton. Scorpions love to eat millipedes. There's an animal called an African civet, and they absolutely love to feed on them too. And they've built up resistance. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep this thing still. I don't know where it's going to go. They will build up a resistance to those chemicals so that they don't get sick. Hello. Now, Kaylin, you're wondering, how do they know where to go if they don't have eyes? So if you look very carefully, you can see it's got two little antennae at the top of its head as it crawls around. That way, please. Look at the camera. That is how it's moving around. So those are not just antennae, but it's using it as a sensory nerve. So you see that it's segmented. I wonder how many segments they've got on their antenna, and that will be able to tell them where to go. But they do, what I do see them do often is they'll go towards an edge of water, a puddle or a dam, and they can't swim. And you'll normally see half of their body crawling over the water before they realize what they're doing. Then they have to come back. But luckily they've got a long body and lots of legs. So it doesn't matter if half of their body goes across. But isn't this very cool? It's my favorite insect. Now, Harley, you're wondering why they have so many legs? Well, it's just the way that they were designed, and that's how they get around. They don't move very, very fast, but all those little legs definitely help them get around. But it's very cool, hey? Don't you think? I think I'm going to put him back down on the ground now. I don't want to bother him too much, and I know that he probably wants to go about his day and continue looking for some nice dead leaves to eat, because that's their favorite thing. So we'll just put it over here. We'll release it nicely, and hopefully no one squashes you today. I hope that you make it out alive. There we go. Not really bothered at all, and off it goes. Now, because I've now touched this millipede, I think I need to wash my hands because I had all that cyanide over me, and that's not very good. And there's a plant actually right here that's growing where this millipede is going down here, and I've showed it quite a few times, but I do need to wash my hands, and I don't have any hand sanitizer. So there's a natural one in the bush. This beautiful purple flower is from the devil's thorn. And I'm going to bring them back to the car with me. I'm going to get my water bottle. I'm going to plug myself in case you have got some questions. I get some water, my water bottle. I'm going to open that up. You stand back. Luckily, I've got a long cable, Craig. Pour a little bit of water in. Rub your hands together. Make sure you do it nice. Make sure you wash your hands properly. You've always got to wash your hands. See, it's all... look at that. Isn't that gross? feels so good, doesn't it? Oh, isn't this nice? Now you got to rinse them. And this stuff, this devil's thorn's got an antiseptic, so it'll keep your hands nice and clean, and I'll prove to you just how clean they are. I think they're the cleanest they've ever been in my entire life. I should use this more regularly as a soap. Steph likes to use it to wash his head. Steph is one of the other presenters. Let me show you how clean my hands are now. Look at that. Sparkling clean. Do I get the approval, Craig? They're glistening in the sun? They're pretty shiny, right? Great. Now I don't know how to dry them. Don't tell my mom. Just wipe my hands on my pants. Because my mom will I'll be in lots of trouble if she sees that my pants have all got stains on them. Right, let me climb back in. So there we go. You can use anything out here in the bush, just as long as you know what it is. And then you'll be fine. Bye, millipede, wherever you have gone. Enjoy your day. Oh, it's gone under the trees. Let's see what else we can find here. Now, Delilah, you're wondering if millipedes are poisonous. They are indeed. They've got cyanide, which is a very strong toxin inside their bodies. Oh, hang on. My favorite bird. So, yes, they are. So, don't eat millipedes. But you'll need to eat about 100 before you start feeling. Go see where they us. I'll just pull off to the side here. Don't fly, please. There they are. Can just see it moving. Now I think they might fly, but these are yellowbilled hornbills. My favorite hornbill. They are very funny to watch. And as I say that, he opened his mouth and I think he wanted to stick his tongue out at all of you. Now, they are monogamous. Now, monogamous is a big word, but that means that they breed for life. So they only have one partner, but we might see some younger hornbills because at the moment, most of them have already laid their eggs and reared their chicks. There it is. They've just flown to the next tree, a big marula tree. And then sometimes you'll see them all together. You know, it's up to 5 or 6 of them. Different families coming together, but these ones are not cooperating with us this afternoon. They've decided, oh, there's another one just flew down below it. And, disappeared in the long grass. That's very, very naughty, but there's a couple of others coming in, so we might get a view of them still. Let's see if we can reposition ourselves. It is very tricky, however, with all this long grass. It's a little bit difficult, but we'll try again. Let's see. Oh, I can just see its head peering up from the long grass. I'll see if I can find a gap for you. Now it's just in there. I'll have to help guide Craig. It's about if you go, yes, there we go. Well, Craig's spot on. First time. How amazing is Craig's camera work? Now it's moving around in that wonderful long grass, and it's because it's hungry. It's looking for something to eat. So by digging in the long grass, you're going to disturb insects. So you could find something like a grasshopper, a butterfly, a moth, a beetle that's moving around, and they will snatch it up with those very, very long beaks. Just like those butterflies that are fluttering around there. They better be very, very careful because hornbills love to eat them. It's one of their favorite foods. But they are quite big birds, so they need to eat lots of butterflies, lots of grasshoppers. And would you believe me if I say that we can also eat the grasshoppers? Craig, I don't want to say it too loudly, but look who's just popped up on that log. Just in the corner, just over... It's in there somewhere. There we go. Look at the corner there. Hello, Dwarf Mongoose. Now, I wonder if this is not the same family of Dwarf Mongoose that you saw with Jamie a little bit earlier. But this one has come out to say hello, and I think it could be a little one. It doesn't look fully grown just yet, the Dwarf Mongoose, and is very curious and is crawling around on this big log. Now, James, you're wondering what the Dwarf Mongoose eats. At the moment, it's not eating anything. It's actually just grooming itself. But by moving around on this log, it could definitely be looking for something to eat. And they like to eat scorpions. They'll eat snakes. They'll eat frogs. They'll eat crickets. They'll eat a variety of insects. So lots and lots of different things. So they are little carnivores. They are actually the smallest carnivore mammal. So carnivores, they're sort of feeding on, or they're predators. And what are you looking at? Do you see how it looked up to the sky, just checking that there's no big eagles coming through here? How cool was that? As it grooms itself. Now, Benjamin, you're wondering if I've ever seen one animal eat another animal. Benjamin, I have indeed seen it actually lots of different times, and I've actually seen a massive eagle swoop down and pick up a dwarf mongoose and eat it. And that's why that little one was looking up into the sky. It's got to be very, very careful, because sitting out here, at the moment it's okay, it's still hidden by the branches and the grass that is covering that log, but if it was sitting out on the road, it would be in a lot of trouble, and particularly on its own, because it hasn't got anyone else to help protect it. And that's why they live in family groups, is because then they're able to help each other and all look out for predators, and if they do see something, they will then give an alarm call. But many things, just like the mongoose likes to eat, the frogs, the snakes, there's lots of things out here that will eat a mongoose too. But I've seen lions catching buffalo, I've seen lions catching giraffe, I've seen leopards catching impala, all types of things, because remember, the predators have to eat as well. So the herbivores, the ones that just eat the vegetation, they're alright. There's lots of grass and lots of leaves and stuff around them. My goodness, this sounds very, very exciting. So Jamie's on the move. I know she's making her way towards Cheetah Plains. Now she's found some evidence that some elephants have been close by.
I have found lots of evidence, and actually it's not just about elephants, it's about all sorts of creatures that have come through here during the course of the day and the night. And that's the nice thing about life out here, is that if you know what signs to look for, there's always something exciting to look at, and it actually tells you what's been going on out here while we haven't been around. So we've been perhaps asleep in our beds or going about the business that we have to do in the middle of the day, but when we come back out here, all of the signs as to what's happened while we've been away are right here in front of us. We just have to know what to look for. So if I hop out and tell you a little bit about the different things that I'm seeing here, this whole piece of dirt, it just looks like dirt, tells a story. One, of course, is that elephants have come through here, and this is a pile of elephant dung. Now, I'm sure lots of you are saying, ew, gross, she's touching the elephant dung. You must never, ever, ever touch any dung unless you speak to an adult first. I happen to know that this is elephant dung, so it's only been eating plants, so I'm not too worried about touching it. But I will still wash my hands afterwards, and hopefully Taylor will lend me some of that useful soap that she's been making. Now, you were talking about termites with Taylor earlier, or with me as well, actually, sorry, with me and the dwarf mongoose and the termite mounds. Now, you can imagine if nothing ate elephant dung. We'd just have piles and piles and piles of elephant dung all on the road, and we wouldn't even be able to go anywhere, we'd have so much dung. But termites are actually really useful, because they'll come and they'll eat the elephant dung. They'll take it away bit by bit by bit, and they'll process it and they'll eat it, because elephant dung is basically just grass and leaves. Now, this is far too wet and far too new for the termites to have moved in, but you can see it's full of grass. Oh, it's falling all over me. You can see it's full of grass. It's full of leaves. Oh, we found Taylor. She's driving away from us at a very rapid rate. Here we go. So that's what the termites are after. And there's actually lots of different animals that will eat elephant dung and make use of it. Dung beetles, for example, they love to use elephant dung. So we know that an elephant came through here. This dung is still wet, which means that it is quite fresh, but it's cold. So it hasn't just been deposited on the road. Because when an elephant first deposits its pile of dung, it's still really warm. Now, the footprints of the elephant are really hard to see because the ground is quite hard from the rain, so I won't show you those, but I will show you an old set of elephant tracks with some other footprints inside of them. So have a look over here. First of all, this is the elephant track. Over here, there you go, you can see it's big and round. There's the toe. But look inside the elephant track. So something came and walked where the elephant was walking earlier. And this particular track, can you see it's a paw print? That's the outline, that's the back of the foot. There's the toes. And if you look really carefully, and those of you who are observant, you might even see claw marks in the track itself. So something came through last night when the soil was fresh and muddy, and I'm going to tell you what it was. It was a hyena. Now, a hyena walks very strangely. Most animals, when they walk, the back leg kind of lines up with the front leg when they walk along. But a hyena is different, and I'm going to pretend to be a hyena, but you have to promise not to laugh at me because I'm not built like a hyena at all. I hope I'm not. So, a hyena is different. And that's why the tracks look kind of funny. They look like they turned out. And that's because when a hyena walks, left foot, your left front foot, the hyena's left front foot, and its back right foot will land together. And then puts its foot, next foot, right front foot, and then the back foot crosses like that. And that's the way that hyenas walk, and they walk like that. I'm not going to walk all the way back to the car like that because it would seem to be a very silly idea. And then you will all laugh at me. But hyenas walk like that. One of the reasons is because they've got a very slopey back. So they kind of swing their back legs to catch up with their front feet. And in that way, they actually save energy, which means they can walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and not get tired. So a hyena walked here. We know an elephant walked here. I don't know if any of you were looking closely. Maybe you might even have seen some antelope tracks there as well. Senzo, if we go back onto the hyena tracks a bit closer to us, if we have a look over here, there you go. See those footprints there? There we go, over there and over there. Those are all antelope tracks, and those tracks belong to nyalas. So a type of antelope called an nyala, that walked along here at some point as well. So see how much you can learn just by looking at the soil, just by looking at the different things and the different footprints that elephants leave. And the more you get to know the different animals, the better, because the more you're going to see. I want to show you something. I'm going to try and be quick because I don't think it's going to stay. There's a bird of prey in the sky. It's being chased by another smaller bird that doesn't want it anywhere near it. Hopefully it doesn't fly away. Hold on, everybody. Have to do some repositioning. Where'd it go? Oh, it's so high. I don't think it's right over our heads now. Oh dear. Hold on. There it is, there it is. Well done, Senzo. There's a fish eagle soaring above our heads. There we go. Awesome. So Senzo's having to lean right back, but look at the way this eagle is soaring on the thermals. Up and away. How cool is that? And there's a type of bird called a roller that is trying to chase the fish eagle away, which is very, very cool as well, because it's much smaller than the eagle, but because any bird of prey is a potential threat, it's making sure that it doesn't come in its direction. Cool! Okay, it's now very, very high. I'm surprised to see it here. But there is a waterhole not far from where we are. There is a chance that perhaps it's going to go and search for some fish there. Now, Kellen, you want to know, well, why is it flying in circles? I guess it's because it's looking for a suitable place to go and land. Because a fish eagle is an eagle that will go and specialize in hunting around rivers and around waterholes. And maybe this fish eagle decided that wherever it was before actually wasn't all that great, and it's decided it wants to go off in search of somewhere different. But there's another reason it's flying in circles, a very, very well spotted, and that's because all big birds of prey use hot air currents. So as a day gets hot, We know how hot air rises. Hot air is lighter than cold air. So hot air rises, so the hot air comes off the dirt. The sun's warmed it up, so the air gets hotter and hotter, and it rises up, and that creates an air current called a thermal. And part of the way that a thermal forms is it comes up in a sort of a spiral or a circle. And birds of prey have learned to use these spirals to stay in the air, to soar through the air. And that basically means that they don't have to flap their wings too much to stay up in the sky. So they use it, and you'll see it with all birds of prey. They use it to help to keep themselves flying without having to use any energy. All they've got to do is just hold their wings out, and the air currents will carry them along. Vultures are very, very good at that as well. I don't know if you could hear that, but it just called as well. And there we go. Question coming from Kellen. Kellen, you want to know if vultures live in South Africa. They do. We get lots of different types of vultures. And Kellen, I haven't trusted the weather recently, so I haven't brought my bird book with me, which is most unfortunate. But otherwise I'd show you a picture of what different types of vultures look like. But Kellen, we get white-backed vultures, we get lappet-faced vultures, which are huge, we get hooded vultures, which are quite small, and then we get some of the endangered vulture species as well. So something like a Cape vulture. Every now and again we see a Cape vulture out here, and they do a very good job. Like the termites and the dung beetles, they clean up the elephant dung. Well, the vultures will clean up any rotting meat that is around. I've got some wonderful news. I don't know whether or not he'd be able to show you a picture of a vulture at some point, but Byron is in the tent and he'd like to say hello.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Byron, and with me on camera is Dave this afternoon, and we have just set up in the wonderful tent to have a look at what we might be able to find around here. Maybe play with the telescope a little bit, see if we can find some of the smaller, interesting little things around here. What I have got to show you is two little shells. Have a look at that. Well, not so little actually, big shells. Now this is from the giant land snail. Now these two shells, I know Taylor was looking at a millipede earlier, and we do have a lot of insects and different animals around that are active after the rain. They enjoy the moisture, and at the moment you probably will find some of these giant land snails around because of all the rain that we've had, and I saw some this morning. Now these are dead. They probably reached the end of their lifetime and died, unfortunately, but they got to live a long, happy life. You can see very big snails, very big shells, and can you believe that we get these wonderful giant land snails, African land snails, all the way out in the middle of nowhere in the African bush. So very beautiful. I don't think you'd be able to hear the ocean through them, but they are lovely to see and very, very beautiful if you look at the patterns and also the colors. Now this one isn't that old because it still has some color to it. When they get very old, they'll start turning a color like this one. You see how this one's starting to go white, and they'll start going pitch white or bright white, which is interesting to see. And they go completely white, and that just comes from age of the shell. So you'll see them lying around for quite some time. Nothing eats them. They'll be lying in the bush, and you'll often pick up, especially when it's dry, you'll see these standing out very, very clearly. The sun will burn them a bit, and they get that very white color, and they'll stand out beautifully. And you can pick them up and collect them like we have done. So we'll keep these in the tent for now. Now, something that we would like to show you is very small. Oh, Lacey, before I go to that, you wanted to know, what does an antelope skull look like? Well, luckily for us, we have got a number of different antelope skull around here. Now have a look at this. So, Let me show you some of the antelope that we get in this area. Firstly, let's start with this big one up at the top here. This is the skull of a wildebeest. Now this is a big wildebeest skull. You can see those very prominent horns that go out quite wide and then come in again, and very long head. And if you look at the wildebeest, you can see those long heads, very big skulls, big antelope. So that's a wildebeest skull. Another one that we get around here are the Impala horns. They're the very prominent Impala horns. And you can see there have been some carrion beetles or horn beetles that basically dig and burrow into the horns, and that's what they cause. They cause those little protrusions to come out. They dig out and build little nests almost to go into the horns. So those are from little beetles once the antelope has died, obviously. And Shai, you'd like to know how we got so many skeletons. Well, being out in the bush, obviously animals die either from predation, so being attacked by other animals. If they're caught and eaten, something like an impala or wildebeest may have been caught by lions, or some also just die from natural causes, just old age. And some of the animals don't last, well, most of the animals don't live to nearly as long as we live. One of the animals that will live close to the length of time we live to is the elephant. They'll live to about 50 or 60 years. The rest of them, very short lifespan. Anywhere between, some of these antelope will live to about 10, 12 years old, maybe a little bit older than that. That's it. And now I'm trying to see if there's another little one. Here's some more little horns that we can see from the antelope. Steenbok and duiker over here. Little steenbok horns. So that's from a tiny antelope called a steenbok. And those are some of the shells, the horns that we get around here on the skeletons. I'm also trying to think of another animal that you might find interesting that we will get out here is the little tortoise. That's a beautiful tortoise shell. Seeing as we've been speaking about shells, and from the giant land snail shell to this beautiful tortoise shell or carapace. This is from a leopard tortoise. Beautiful pattern on the leopard tortoise. They can get much bigger than this. I'm not too sure what happened to this one, why it died. Maybe because of the drought. We had very little water last year, and it could have been because of that. Anyway, it's time for us, unfortunately, to say goodbye to our schools. Really hope you have all enjoyed your afternoon safari with us. Have a wonderful day. We are going to see you all again soon, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we are going to cross back to Taylor to carry on with the rest of the show.
And again, welcome back, and hopefully we're going to find some exciting things this afternoon. But for those of you that have just joined us, welcome again. We've just finished the school drive now, and we spent 45 minutes with them dedicating answering all of their questions, but now we are most certainly ready for all of yours. So hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. If you'd like to get hold of us, send us some pictures or comments or questions, anything you'd like all to know about coming on a safari, and we'll all try and answer them to the best of our abilities. But we're bumbling about on quarantine at the moment, and I'm hoping that we're going to find something fantastic. I cannot actually believe how quiet it is out here. Normally, quarantine, there's massive open plains which are situated quite close to the DRC, which is where we live, right outside the Djuma camp, and they're normally filled, especially at this time of the year and over the past few weeks, with wildebeest, impala, zebra, giraffe, elephants here and there. There is nothing today. We had the 3 impala that we were very lucky to show the kids, and then other than that, I've actually had to go around quarantine about 5 or 6 times just to make sure that I'm seeing correctly. It's just amazing how, whether it was the weather that moved them all off, because it's quite open out here and they're not very protected from the rain or the wind, so they would have to move off into thicker areas to keep warm and also to be able to hear a little bit better. But they have not returned, so hopefully tomorrow morning, or maybe even later this evening, there could be a chance that they all come back from wherever they've retreated to, perhaps a big drainage system behind us, and they'll move back into these areas again. So I'm looking for anything with wings, an insect, Something to burn? We'll try and find all sorts of goodies. Let's check. Actually, there were some quite nice birds down at the dam. Let's go and have a look at them. I did pop past there earlier. It looked like there were geese and ducks. Now, Cosmic Traveller, you're wondering if we ever see lion? Well, at the moment, no. But we do, yes, we do see lions, and it's quite difficult to gauge and guess as to what you're going to see on a safari unless you've maybe found something the drive before and you can try and follow up on them, but there's no guarantee that they would have stayed in that one place. So it's difficult. We hear lions calling every single night. The Birmingham boys are definitely announcing that they live in this area and declaring their territory. So the Birmingham boys are 4 dominant male lions that have formed a coalition. They come from the Timbavati, which is sort of north of where we're situated, and we also don't know where any of the animals are going to be at any given time because they've got over 8.5 million acres of land to roam around on. So we're part of the Greater Kruger National Park system. However, we're in the Sabi Sand at the moment, just in case you were wondering. And so yes, Cosmic Traveller, hopefully that would be my goal this evening, is to perhaps find a lion, but I have not found a lion. I found the easiest animal to spot in Africa, and of course it is a small group of impala. I mean, at one point, even yesterday, they were everywhere. Lots of males chasing each other around, big rams chasing younger rams around, being very protective over their females, making sure that they do not come through here. And he's pulling an interesting face at the moment. It looks like he's phlegmous and grimacing. So the phlegm and grimace, and basically the outward expression of the Jacobson organ. So that's their very, very important scent gland to animals. And what would have happened is a ewe, would have urinated on the ground, and he's testing her urine to see if she's coming into estrus or not. Now, there will be a couple of them that will be coming into estrus. They don't always all come into estrus at the same time. And once he finds one, he will try and mate with them. But they seem very placid at the moment. There's not any other males to disturb this boy. Now, Cosmic Traveller, thank you again for all of your questions. And if you would like to ask questions, just as Cosmic Traveller is, #SafariLive on Twitter. Now, you've asked me this afternoon, what is my favorite animal to observe? Elephants, just because they're always doing something, and when you find them in big herds, it's really amazing to watch the youngsters play. But even sitting and watching these 2 impala groom themselves is spectacular. And I think it could be mom and daughter. I'm not 100% sure. The way they're standing, they look of equal size. So maybe they're both just adult ewes. So yeah, so I actually enjoy everything. I love watching yellowbilled hornbills forage around through the grass or have a dust bath. I thoroughly enjoy watching the silhouetted versions of southern ground hornbill sitting in the marula trees. That's always quite nice. And I even just enjoy watching the sunset. I know that that's not an animal, but even something like that is very, very special. Oh, and off he goes. You're too slow, buddy. He gave it a good go, and she's disappeared. She's gone. She's not hanging around. And there's a young male. He's running off. He better be very careful, because he'll be quite sort of protective over that girl. Sorry, Alice, may I please have the name of who asked the question? I remember the question, and I just need the name, please. Oh, Bonnie, there we go. Bonnie, you're wondering what are the horns made of. So if we look very closely, the horns are actually made of keratin. So it's a keratin sheath surrounding a bony protrusion. If we find some, actually, you know who can show you a little bit more about the horns is Byron, because Byron, I know, has a set of impala horns in the tent, so maybe he can chat about that a little bit more. But look how shiny his coat is. The impala are in tip-top shape at the moment. They will lose condition fairly quickly as they tend to the female's needs. But at the moment, he is incredible. And that's also an indication of an animal's health, is their coat. If their coats are dull and sort of lackluster, then unfortunately they're not doing too well. But you can see how beautiful and sleek he's looking at the moment. He looks like he's oiled himself up, don't you think, with baby oil or something along those lines. But he is beautiful. And the girls, not quite as much as a sheen as the boys are exuding at the moment, but still beautiful anyhow. And on a warm day like it is today, their coats will be flat and smooth. She looks a little bit untidy, don't you think? And I'm always noticing this. And when the animal's hair is not as neat as it should be, fairly flat, but I think that the Impala rams are really outdoing the girls at the moment in terms of their looks. But they're in the prime, they're as fit and as fat as they're going to be, so they're exceptionally healthy. So that doesn't really surprise me too much. But how cool is that? Right, let's make our way down towards the dam. Let's quickly have a look at some of the birds that I had spotted. Right, we'll go and park on the dam wall and see if we can see some of the Egyptian geese goslings as well as the white-faced whistling ducklings. But Byron is in the tent and I know he's got a pair of horns that he'd like to show you.
I do indeed, Taylor, and we were actually discussing them earlier. Here are the Impala Horns that some of you were asking about, and they're basically made up of keratin and hair. So the same stuff our fingernails are made up of, that's what the horn is made of. And that sheath actually that fits over, there is a bone-like structure which extends a little bit from the skull into the horn sheath, and then the horn sheath then continues and grows up. So if I really wanted to, I could actually pull this horn sheath completely off the skull of the impala. They do get loose. I'm not going to loosen it. James might shout at me, but that horn sheath can actually eventually, it will slide right off the top of that skull. Now I've been running around a little bit trying to see what we can find around the tent, but there's actually, and for those of you who watched this morning, I think James actually spoke about some of these spiders around here at the moment. Now one that I would like to see if it still is here is a very, very venomous spider called a black button spider. Let me just see. Ah, it is there. It is there indeed. There it is. Look at that. That's quite a scary, scary spider, I'll be honest, because that spider is highly venomous. I wonder if... do you need more light in there, Dave? Is it okay?
No, if we lay it flat, it'll just shake less.
Okay, let me put it over here for you. Hold on. There we go. There. There we go. Now this black button spider has got neurotoxic venom, so it's not a very pleasant spider to be bitten by. Apparently you can feel the pain of the bite, and then and does affect the nervous system. But apparently there's only, I would say, 1% of all these bites actually cause death. So very, very, very slim chance of death. Maybe in an infant or somebody with a heart condition, perhaps, or who's just ill, that may cause death if they are bitten by one of these spiders. But I think they cause convulsions and sweaty palms, and it's not a very pleasant spider to be bitten by. But you see, they are around. So I'm going to put this one back. It's interesting to see them though, and it's nice to see them so that if you do come across them anywhere, you at least know what to look for. So we are harboring a venomous spider in our wolf pack. We used to call those a wolf pack. I don't know what they call them now. A little carrying case, I suppose. And then what else? Oh, the other one is, here's a brown button spider, which is up in here at the moment. We can't actually see it, but here are the little eggs of the brown button spider, also very venomous. Look at those eggs. So a lot of venomous spiders around here currently, which is not ideal for us. You just have to be careful, but it just shows you the type of places you would find them. And then if you see eggs like that or anything, just rather stay away from that area. But they prefer dark little corners, so you do just have to watch out when you are in the bush. Sure, it's actually quite warm this afternoon after those 3 days of cool weather, cold weather, a little bit of a front that came through. We didn't have, or we had a lot of rains and very little sunshine. Now what's happened is It's starting to warm up, and there's a lot of humidity because of all that moisture that we've had from that rain. So the humidity levels have increased, and I'm not sure if we're going to get more rain, but it's probably going to get hot for the next few days again, and then the temperature might dip. So definitely see a change in the temperature. What that is good though, maybe we'll start seeing a lot more insects getting active. We have seen a number of frogs around during that little bit of rain that we had. A lot of butterflies, plenty of butterflies. We've seen the little millipedes. We have seen little giant land snails and slugs around at the moment. The animals have all been enjoying the rain because there are lots of little puddles that they're able to drink from, which is good. So there's a lot going on at the moment in the bush, and the bush comes alive after a bit of rain. We're hoping that we get to see some more of the predators. I think what possibly happened is, because of the rain, we know that lions and leopards like to hunt in the rain. It's easier for them to hunt in the rain, so they're able to stalk and get closer to their prey and probably become more successful with their hunt because the rain masks the sound, and they are able to sneak up and stalk a lot closer than they usually would. Also, it makes it almost impossible for the animals to smell the predators because of the rain. So I think what's probably happened is animals like a lot of the leopards may have kills hidden in thick blocks in somewhere that we haven't been able to find them. And also the rain washes away the tracks, so it makes it even harder to track the animals unless they've walked over a fresh piece of ground or fresh piece of soil that has been moistened by all the rain. You can see the tracks very clearly. I think not last night, the night before, so what was that, Sunday night, the Nkahuma Pride did make a kill on our neighboring property, Simbambili. They made a kill then. It was raining, so I think that's again why they managed to make that kill, and they were there for a day or so, finished the kill, and I think the next morning they moved off. Not sure where they are at the moment, but we'll have to try our best to find them, and I'm hoping that they start coming back into these areas again. So we shall see, and we'll keep a lookout. We heard lions this morning calling in the distance, but they were south of our boundary. There were some males south of our boundary. I think 2, judging by the updates from other guides that we passed. But when we heard them this morning, they sounded a lot closer. But because of this rain, the air is very, very clear at the moment. And the thing is, what happens is the sound travels a lot further. Now I wonder if Alice and them are still in the FC. I haven't got any questions from them for a while. They're still there. Real Steel Mac. Did I get that right? I think so. And you would like to know where the Birmingham males are. Well, as I was saying, they've been moving around a lot at the moment. I think because probably trying to mate with different females from different prides. But we've heard them. We've heard them a lot. They are around, but either just north of our boundary or just south. I mean, we don't have a very big section of Djuma where we are at the moment. From our southern boundary is probably 3, maybe 4 kilometers from here, 3 kilometers as the crow flies, and our northern boundary is probably only 2, so it's not very far. So we'll hear the lions, but they'll be just on either side of our boundary where we unfortunately can't drive. So they have been around. We just need to hopefully find them in the next few days. Now, I'm going to look around for some more interesting little insects around here. Let's go and see what Taylor is up to.
We were at the dam for just a moment, and then I thought, let's actually carry on. Let's check out a different dam. So that's what Craig and I are doing at the moment, is we're heading up along Hyena Road, just having a quick little investigation, and we're past Buffels Hook Dam. And what I'm really hoping is, because we've had all this lovely rain and that dam is now nice and deep, we might find some hippos lurking in the water, or perhaps a herd of elephants coming down to have a drink, or anything really, maybe a giraffe. I won't be picky this afternoon. I'll take whatever I can get, and even that lilac-breasted roller that has just perched itself around the corner. to bigger and better places, spreading their wings and flying across the big globe, really. Well, the European rollers going all the way back towards Europe, Asia, the Middle East. Pretty spectacular. The lilac-breasted rollers, they're residents. They live the few beautifully coloured birds that we have. There are a couple of them. Of course, the kingfishers are quite stunning. But there are very few that have these pastel colours, sort of like the rollers have. I suppose the bee-eaters too. Oh, what did you catch? Did you catch anything? Yes, you did. Well done, you very clever chap. It caught a zebra jumping spider. Look at that. That's amazing. Now, these are actually one of my favourite jumping spiders, so I'm a bit sad to see you go, no! Oh, I'm devastated. And there it goes.
Well, I'm sorry, it looks like they're struggling with some signal there at the moment, and it's all going pear-shaped. Let's go take a walk outside. I'm going to take my binoculars, see if we can't find something out here a little bit. At least we've got a long cord, and I can walk around here a little bit and see there's been a lot of butterflies around there. I can see one or two acrias at the moment. Actually, we were speaking about here are, what are these? These young kudu horns. It looks like, yeah, a young kudu horn. Now, what's happened here is you can see that's the bone-like structure in the inside of the horn. Do you see that? And the sheath has been pulled off completely. There's a nyala. I don't know, these are faded slightly. No, the way they twist, oh dear, don't know. I'm trying to think now. They're young kudu or nyala horns. These are nyala horns. These are nyala horns. A nyala male. See, they do all have that slight twist in them, and these were turning, but this is definitely a male nyala horn. Or male nyala. They belong to a male nyala. So the sheath has come off. So just to show you what I was speaking about earlier, how the sheath managed to slip, you can slide it off the horn structure itself, or the bone structure, and that is made just out of the keratin and the hair that I mentioned earlier. So that's the nyala. Now, Bonnie, you asked what my favorite animal is. Well, my favorite animal is a honey badger, and I love them because they are so tenacious. They're not afraid of anything. They've got such character, and I really love the honey badgers. My second favorite, a close second, is the African elephant. I love the elephant, and I love spending time with them, so I definitely have to say the elephant. So those two are my favorites. Now let's just see. Oh, there's a beautiful butterfly sitting over there, Dave. Looks like one of the acrians. Can you see that in the light? Look at that. Wow, look at that very beautiful orange. And especially now with the sunlight, yeah, they're coming right past us. And it's making me chuckle. So the girls are all over the show at the moment. They're driving, looking for animals, trying to search very hard, and I hope they have some luck this afternoon. Let's go over to Jamie, see where she is and what her plans are.
I am on Cheetah Cutline, if you'd like to know, Byron, and my plans are, fingers crossed, to get us onto the Chitwa dam wall, partly because it's always an awesome place to be at this time of day, but also partly because we do need to do some recording of some shots there. But with all of the rain that happened over the last few days, I have to wait until I can chat to one of the guides that works at Chitwa to ask if their dam wall is in fact open to people driving across it. So we're lurking at the moment, and I figured, well, since we're here, we'll take the opportunity to go and have a look at Gwen's den and see whether or not that massive warthog is still around there. Now, this is the hyena den that surprised us all by being active not too long ago with a hyena called Gwen. Very, very low-ranking female in our hyena clan. When our hyena clan first disappeared, we had just seen Gwen's brand new cubs, and that was in June last year. And then all of a sudden we discovered, I think it was Tristan who found it initially, we discovered that this den over here was occupied by Gwen, and then we actually had a chance to see those two cubs very briefly from the litter that we'd first seen in June. But because wherever Gwen had taken them, it had been somewhere without any vehicles coming through, without any people, I guess, those cubs are unbelievably skittish. And then all of a sudden Gwen seemed to have been displaced by a warthog, which was the last thing that any of us expected. Our Lady Starfire, you would like to know at what time of year are hyenas most active? Did I get that right, Alice? Sorry, there's a lot of conversation happening in my ear. What time of year are they most active, and why don't we often see them? Watch out, everybody. We used to see them far more regularly than we do now, and I'm not quite sure. Look, at least we've got them back on Djuma. I'm not quite sure why that is. There's no particular time of year that they're most active. There's no particular time of year that they breed. They will breed all year round. So there's no specific time that they have their cubs. And I guess it was just, we suspect, or one of the theories that we put forward was the presence of the lions. The Nkuhumas basically camped out on Djuma and had their cubs there. And I think that the presence of the lions might have had something to do with their movement away from Djuma. But we just, to be quite honest, we don't know. And as for why we don't often see them, well, I guess with the lions being elsewhere. I forgot about this massive hole in the road. How carefully do you think we can do this? Hold on, everybody. This is now a real test of Jamie's judgment. Whoa. A bit terrifying. Hold on. Okay, we might drop a little bit. Oh. Here we go. Phew! That was some interesting driving. I don't know why we don't see them more often. Our Super Dude 25, not to be confused with Super Dude 24 or Super Dude 26. Super Dude 25 would like to know how many hyena clans we have in this area. Well, 2 that we know of. One that we know relatively well, which is the Djuma clan. That's the clan that I was talking about. We've got to know them relatively well. We've got to sort of be acquainted with them, because they've denned a lot on Djuma itself. Then there's the massive Elephant Plains clan that, as far as I know, is 40 hyenas strong. And we do see them occasionally. I haven't got to know them nearly as well because none of their den sites have been within our Traverse area. And then I suspect that there's a third clan. There's some disagreements about this. I suspect that there's a third clan within Kruger where those are the hyenas that we see on Cheetah Plains every now and again. So those are the 3 that we know of and that we encounter on a relatively regular basis. But this was the den that Gwen was in. No sign of her. I still think she's around here. That's why I came to check. Oh, there's a kudu. Don't disappear, kudu. Oh, disappeared. Vanished. There's another one, Sensor, just up a little bit. Over there. They're gonna pop out there. There we go. Just look, there you go. There you go, got him. Perfect. One young male on the left and one female on the right. Nice thing about kudu is that the more you look, the more you see, generally speaking. You just see, just started to grow his horns. I would guess, year and a half, maybe 2? No, I think about a year and a half. Oh, by the way, I don't know what made me think of this, just because, I guess because kudu have relatively long necks, but but I saw a massively pregnant giraffe on quarantine this morning. She looks as though she is going to pop at any minute. Imagine if we got to see a live giraffe birth. How amazing that would be. A live wild giraffe birth. There's a very she's bulging, hanging out around quarantine. That would be something very, very exciting for all of us. I know that I would definitely enjoy an experience like that. I've never seen a giraffe give birth in the flesh. I've never seen it in real life. I've come close. I found one giving birth once. I could see the beginnings of the amniotic sac starting to poke through, and then she moved off into some very dense vegetation. And as much as I wanted to follow her, I knew that all it was going to do was cause her serious stress, so I left her. But I would love to see something like that. It would be incredible. I mean, April would be one thing, and absolutely amazing, but a live wild giraffe birth. Here we go. Alright, duck around here. Oh, there's a big male. Oh, the big male's gone. Sorry, hold on, John. I'll come back to your question in a moment. Let me just try and show you this kudu bull. I'm going to try and save the camera from the spider web as well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait, no, come back. Oh dear. All right. Somewhere in the bowels of the car now. I was going to try put it on a tree next to us. I just want to try and show you this big kudu bull. You've got an impressive set of horns. There he is. There he goes. Hello, boy. Oh, you're posing so nicely for us. Here he goes, wandering after the females. The bulls, the fully grown bulls, are always slightly more skittish than the females. But he's calmed down enough for us to see. Imagine how much those horns weigh. And I actually don't have to imagine, because I felt a kudu skull before with horns attached. And it's massive. The strength of their necks to carry something like that. And then with the leverage as well. Preeton, you want to know if female kudu have horns? There you go. She's posing so nicely to answer your question. They do not. So, female kudu do not have horns. The males do. There are rare circumstances, and I've seen one before, where you get female kudus with horns. Sometimes it just happens. They tend not to be as impressive as the males, and that's very, very unusual. Some kind of genetic mutation. But it's an interesting topic because basically there's a very strong correlation between antelope that like to hide in dense vegetation, so horns actually aren't that useful. They're only useful to the males to compete for the females, and then for something like a wildebeest or a gemsbok or a sable that lives in more open areas, so the females can actually use their horns to fight off aggressive predators rather than trying to hide. So in those species, you do get females with horns. I think it's over 50% if I remember correctly. I should know this because I just did the research a couple of months ago. I think it's over 50% of antelope out here, the females have horns. Must double check that. I need to think about that for a second. So while I contemplate and try and remember the exact numbers, let's send you back all the way across Djuma to the open area around the tent.
Well, I've been walking around and I have found another little spider that I'd like to show you on our beautiful little microscope thingy. Have a look at this though. This is amazing, and I'll tell you why it's amazing, and I'll show you shortly. Let me just get this movement right here. Why can't I do that right, Dave? There we go. There we go. Hey, look at that little spider. Where's Dave? What's going on there?
That's the stuff.
Hey, look at that. Now, beautiful, beautiful little spider. Very hairy little spider. That's made a little nest in a blade of grass. Look at that, beautiful. Well hidden, well camouflaged. I'm not sure what species of spider this is. You can see the... I'm going to try to turn it around a little bit. Hopefully I get this right. There we go. Take care. You asked if we carry... Let me just fix it a little bit. Oh, yeah. Where's James when you need him with this? Take care. You asked if we carry spider or snake anti-venom around here. No, we don't. We do not at all. And the reason for that is, so for one, you probably won't need anti-venom for spiders. The only one, those black button spiders, and that you may need a bit of anti-venom again, depending on your health. You might need antivenom, but the thing is with a lot of that is they'll treat the symptoms rather than actually administer antivenom. With snake antivenom, you actually have to be very, very careful, because often people may react worse to the antivenom than they actually do to the venom itself, to the bite. So what they do is, no places are able to stock or keep antivenom at all. The only places that have it are hospitals with qualified doctors that are able to administer it, and they can monitor you. So if something happens, they can do something to contradict those antivenoms that they've injected into you. Now, with a lot of the bites, even with black mamba now, they don't necessarily give you antivenom. What they'll do is they'll purely treat the symptoms, and all that it doesn't sound like much, but all they need to do for black mamba bites is keep you breathing. So they'll put you on ventilators, and they'll try to flush your system, get the venom out, because it is a neurotoxic venom. It attacks the nervous system. So what they do is they'll purely focus on what is going wrong with you, fix that, maintain the breathing, the venom will work out of your system, and you should be fine. That is the key with most snake bites. So they don't necessarily just administer antivenom anymore. Now that beautiful spider, I just want to show you, after looking at it in the microscope, how big that little spider was. You can't even see it. Look at that. Hiding in that little grass stem. Look, there it is. Tiny. So that is one of the wonders of the microscope, to be able to get really close to these little spiders. It's amazing, really amazing. Right, I'm going to release this little spider. I'm going to take my binoculars with me. Come with me, just in case we see something interesting. You never know. Ali, you asked if I fear of any of the spiders. No, well, look, Ali, I wouldn't like one of those button spiders to bite me, firstly, or a sack spider. That would not be very pleasant at all. They're very painful bites. Sack spiders cause a lot of skin damage and that, so I don't want any of those to bite me. I wouldn't say fear of the spiders, no, but we do get a spider called a baboon spider around here. Now, I wonder if I've got a picture of one. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, follow me back to the tent, everyone. Dave, I'm sorry, I'm making you walk up and down. The joys of having the tent. So let me just show you the baboon spider. Let me see if I can find it quickly. I'm sure there are some in here. Baboon spiders. Oh dear. No, so they obviously just, there's some of them. Wolf spiders. The wolf spiders are similar, but not quite as big as the baboon spiders. Now these baboon spiders are huge. They get very, very big. There we go. Wafer lid trapdoor spiders. These little trapdoor spiders and baboon spiders. Now the baboon spider, here we go. Here's some nice ones. Look at these. Here's big baboon spiders. Now they are They're basically Africa's tarantulas, just to give you an idea. So they do get rather large, and these ones especially, a lot of these, they're beautiful spiders, and you can see the markings on them. You don't often see them out though, because what they do, and I'm just going to put the book down, what they do is these baboon spiders often burrow holes, big holes, about that size. Some of them about that size. They'll burrow these holes down into the ground, and they basically line the entire wall of that burrow or hole with webbing, and they put a little trapdoor on top of the hole, and leave little strands going out. So if anything walks past or walks over those webs, they can feel them. They can feel the vibrations, and they'll come out. And they've got very sticky little fingers, or legs rather, and those legs will come out and grab whatever prey it is that's walking past that hole, and they'll put it down and feed on it. Very fast ambush predators, but some of them can get rather large, about that big, some baboon spiders. So they're quite big, hairy spiders. Maybe not something that you'd want to find just walking around, but they are lovely to see. They are great to see. Another spider that we get out here, the golden orb web spider. That has scared a number of rangers in the past, guaranteed. And even myself at times would find one on you and you get a fright, because they are big. They're beautifully colored, yellow, black, red, wonderful colors on them, but they do get quite big. They get to about that size, long legs, quite a thick body. Now those golden orb web spiders build their webs right across the road. So sometimes you'll be driving on safari and you might not see it, and this web will get caught in the aerial and it'll get flung back onto the vehicle. That does happen from time to time. They're completely harmless to us though, but you do get a big fright. So in terms of being scared of spiders, I think it's more fright you get from the big ones, and the small little ones like those button spiders are the ones that actually can cause a bit of damage and give you a very nasty bite. So golden rule, maybe the bigger the spider, the less harmful it is to you. But don't take my word for it, because it is different all over the world. But out here, definitely the case. A baboon spider will just give you quite a painful bite. That's about it. All right, now apparently Alice lost Taylor. I'm not sure where she's gone, so Taylor's lost to the wilderness, but Jamie is still out here. Let's go see what she's up to.
Are we live? Oh, sorry about that, everybody. There we go, carrying on. I'm sorry. There's so much communication happening that I completely missed that. Apologies, Alice. Apparently Taylor's been lost off the airwaves, which is most unfortunate. I'm sure she will rejoin us once again. She's not actually physically lost. She is around somewhere. So we're on our way back towards Chitwa Dam, because I have the opportunity to chat to somebody that I can chat to about whether or not I can drive along their dam wall. So let's get to this pan up ahead. Hopefully there's something here which will give me the opportunity to talk to them while I wait. Maybe those kudu were heading in that direction for a drink. Let's investigate. By the way, one Birmingham on Little Gowrie, one Birmingham on Hoffman's with the sticks, two Birminghams with the Nkuhumas on Simvambili. Now we pretty much accounted for most of the lions that we would be likely to see, all unfortunately outside of our traverse area, but that's sort of how things go out here. Please land, Starling, so I can use you as a suitable distraction. That sounded terrible. We like to look at starlings just because they're beautiful as well.